Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. I'm your host, Kimberly, and this is my husband, Zach, and we're going to chat with you today. But before we do,
What?
will you sing your little
No,
jingle?
not singing. I did that before we
Come
got online.
on.
So I'll do that when I'm more prepared next time. We're
Just
live
like
on
two whole
YouTube
words.
now. I just can't throw that talent out there into the world without people being prepared for
It's
it.
like two whole words. You're silly.
No, it's funny that the video at the beginning, I always feel the drums, and you probably take the snippets at the beginning of all of our things and watch my head doing the same exact thing wearing a different outfit. But I love maybe a different outfit. Yeah. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. We're excited today to talk to you guys about a couple of different things, but you've got
our official topic for today is Cash Flow Chronicles, strategies for sustainable small business finances. So we run a small business. Probably a lot of you run a small business, and finances can make or break you, right? So we wanted to talk about that today. It's I guess tax season, if you will, right? So everybody's looking at money and trying to figure it out, and dotting their I's and crossing their T's and making sure that they did what they were supposed to do. And if not, they're going back through and scrambling and putting it all together. You can guess which ones we are. I think it's a great topic to have now and this time of year, but also as new entrepreneurs, old entrepreneurs, business owners, or just people in general. I think the rules of operating a business and managing business finances are very similar to managing your personal finances as well. Just a few more pieces added in.
Yeah, and I think it's important to start with, as you guys know, or you may not know, we started as school teachers. So we started as employees in the world of work. Both of us had jobs from when we were in our mid-teens and until we didn't have jobs anymore, which was our very liberating day to go work for yourself. But there's a different tax code for employees and business owners, and that's what I think is really important. It doesn't mean that you can't be an employee to take advantage of the tax code that business owners are able to use. What does that mean? Well, to be honest, to be straightforward, I think Warren Buffett said it best. He said the way the tax code works for businesses is that if you're an employee, you pay tax on the income first, and then you go buy stuff that you need. If you're a business owner, you go buy stuff that you need and then you pay tax on what's left.
I think it's really important because I read this grab that book behind you. There's this great book that I read last year. I have like 22 copies of it, but it's Wealth Habits by Candy Valentino. And she said the same thing in there. And, even though we've owned businesses for the last 21 years, I'd never quite heard it put that way. So I think it's important to say that again and say that slowly so people really hear it, and maybe give some like number examples to it, if that makes sense.
Well, sure. I mean, I think that obviously when it comes to business and deductions, they have to be good deductions. That's a whole nother, but to simplify it or oversimplify it, if you think about your paycheck, if you get a paycheck and a W-2 at the end of the year, your paycheck comes to you every other week or every month or however you get paid, and taxes have been withheld from all of your income.
So if you make $5,000 a month, right, taxes are withheld of that entire $5,000 before you have money to spend.
Right, and then you know what you get, right? So you have the gross and the net. I really think those terms should be completely reversed, because the gross is what you get after they keep the money out of it, in my opinion. But nevertheless, you get the net amount, and you know that it's different from the gross amount. And that's what you have to operate if you're making a budget for your personal finances. It's what you have at the end of withholding on a paycheck basis, biweekly or monthly. From a business perspective, you get paid 100% in most cases of what you invoice for, or what you, if you're commission based, whatever, and it comes in and you get a 1099 or you get a K1 or some other tax document that reports that income.
So if you make 5,000 in your business for that month, then you have 5,000 that comes in, and your expenses come out of that, and you're taxed on the difference. So if it costs you 3,000 that month for car and cell phone and internet and business stuff, then you're only taxed on 2,000. I think that's a significant, oh wow, moment. Even though you probably knew it, just to hear it put that way is, to me, it was kind of.
And, and a lot of people, that's what I was going to say before. A lot of people think it's one or the other. If you're an employee and you get a W-2, you can start your own business and still take advantage of tax benefits. Now, I'm not a CPA, so I'm just giving you global tax, information, right? I'm not telling you this is gospel. Make sure you have an accountant, if you need one, if your business is to that point, or even if you're filing personal taxes, get professional advice. But basically, our CPA years ago told us there are three things we have to think about, and we're not going to go down the tax rabbit hole. We want to go to our actual topic. But he said, you can make purchases in your line of business that are reasonable, necessary, and commonly accepted. Those are the three things that he said were the test to see if you could write it off. Is it reasonable in the financial planning world? Is it necessary? Is it commonly accepted? And the example he used, talking about deductions,
This was back when
back when you actually printed a lot of things out and used staplers. But he said in your business, it's reasonable to buy a stapler. It's necessary to have a stapler, and it's commonly accepted that that would be a business expense. Now, he said it doesn't mean that you should buy a gold-plated stapler, but if you did, it would be entirely deductible because it's reasonable, necessary, and commonly accepted. So, nevertheless, cars, same kind of thing. We'll go down that road later. But understanding there's two different tax codes. Now let's talk about how to prepare your business finances. Why to have a business? Number one, we want to free ourselves, free our schedule, make extra money, do those kind of things. But also we get to participate in a different tax code. So
I think the first most important point when you own a business or starting a business or currently have a business or whatever is to keep personal and business expenses and income separate. And that's really hard, especially if you're a new entrepreneur, everything's just coming in and you're spending and you're paying your bills and you're paying for the business and all of that is commingled. And I think for a lot of people that happens just very easily, right? So I think the first tip would be is to keep business and personal separate, like intentionally so. Sometimes it's painful. Have two different credit cards, right? One is business, one is personal, and use it for that avenue. But I think that's probably the biggest tip or the biggest, step number one for anyone.
yeah, it's the biggest mistake that most people make when they're starting out, because a lot of people start out as a sole proprietor, right? So I've got to start, I'm going to start a business on the side. Let's say I'm going to start cutting grass when I'm not working, and and all that money comes into my personal account. It's all my money, right? But how do I keep it separate? Because hopefully that business grows. So the biggest piece of advice is start early with that complete separation of church and state, if you will, so that you can account for where your money's going. You can account for what the business spends and doesn't spend. It's going to help you out a lot at tax time to be able to have those things completely separate. If your business is brand new and you can't get a business checking, you can get a business checking account and get a business debit card right away. It's very easy to file for a tax ID number. You don't have to pay one of these services out there. As soon as you Google it, right? As soon as you Google new business tax ID number, you're going to, the first 15 of them are going to be people wanting to charge you a couple of $100 to do something you can do for basically free through the IRS website. So know that you don't have to pay somebody to get that done, but get that tax ID number. And make sure that I would go ahead and give your business a name other than your own, even though you can use your own name and have file it that way on your taxes. Get a checking account in that business name with debit cards associated with it, because a business getting started, a lot of times won't have the ability to get a credit card, but you can, if you can qualify for a credit card, be the personal guarantor for a business card. And then that will start building your business credit. And then you can have
But I
that
think even
separate.
if you're working as a 1099 contractor and everything is coming into your social security number, right? As a Schedule C and you don't have a tax ID number, you can still get a separate account for your business information. So I think it's important again to keep all of that separate. So step one would obviously be keep personal and business separate. Step two would be to get a business account, whether it's a personal account in your name that you end it with business, right? Or if it's a tax ID number and a business account, get that business checking account. So everything that comes and goes from that account is business, and you can truly keep it separate. And then, like Zach said, have a credit card that's designated for business. If you can get a business credit card because you can personally guarantee it and a bank will give it to you, great, do so. So the credit's in the business name and you're really building that credit history for your business. But if you can't, take one of your personal credit cards and say, hey, this is my business card. Write business on it in a Sharpie. Who cares, right? But just know that that particular card is structured that way. And if you guys haven't set it up that way now, it's February. It's the end of February. It's very easy to start January 1st of 2024 and say, all right, the rest of it's a little bit of a mess, right? But we're going to go forward. And this is the way that we're putting this business together going forward. So I think it's the perfect time of year to have this conversation.
Absolutely. And that being said, you also need to make sure you have an accounting software. Cloud-based is preferable, but there are desktop versions.
Well, cloud-based, so when you hire a bookkeeper or someone like that, then they have access to it as well. They don't, it's not just,
It's not just on your desktop that you can give somebody else access. And there are QuickBooks is the most commonly used, I think, for small businesses. It's definitely it got the markets, the lion's share of the market, but there are other ones. I saw XERO0, I guess. It's just spelled with an X. I haven't tried that one. And there's another one called Free Agent. Somebody else on here might be able to say some other ones. I use QuickBooks personally because it's just easier to be, in that vein with accountants and those kind of things. But have some sort of accounting software that you use that you can see where your business is on a daily basis. I like being able to go to my dashboard, see profit and loss, see cash flow, all those kind of things. And like Kimberly said, if you don't have that now, don't try to go back to when your business started in 2019 and do it. Start January of 2024 with your bank statement. If you have a business account, and do that beginning and ending balance, reconcile that, and then go forward from there. So you know where you are. I think that's really important to have a financial statement, a personal financial statement and a business financial statement.
And I think it's really important, if you are new to this world, remember most of us as entrepreneurs, we don't start out understanding how business works, right? It's just the same thing as personal finance. We're stumbling forward, staying confused, and figuring it out as we go along. So a lot of times we're just doing everything day to day that we have to do to make our business continue to grow. And our books and our finances are there, but they're not our main focus. So it has to be intentional. It has to be intentional to say, all right, once a week, every Monday morning or every Friday morning or once a month at minimum, depending on the side of your business, you're going to sit down and you're going to review your business financials. You're going to look at your checking account statements. You're going to look at open invoices if you invoice people. You're going to look at sales if you sell things. You're going to look at your inventory if you have inventory. You're going to look at your credit cards, and you're going to go through that online accounting software, and you're going to say, oh, this was for this, because I promise you, trust us as someone who likes to do things backwards instead of forwards, right? Going back for the entire last year, which we've done for the entire last week, just give you a little hint, it's hard, right? You're like, oh, what was that? How did this work? And it gets confusing. So if you do it a little along every single week, every single month at minimum, and reconcile it as you go, it is so much less overwhelming than if you try to put it all together from remembering what things were as you're going through your statements and your tallies.
Yeah, and when you're starting out in business, when I say financial statement, I'm a personal financial statement. We talk a lot about goal statements, right? This is not what I want it to be. This is what it actually is, right? When you start out in business as a personal guarantor on a lot of things, whether it's checking accounts, whether it's business licenses, all those kind of things, if you need that kind of stuff, they're going to need a financial statement from you. They're going to need to know debt, income, yes, from you personally, because you are going to be the financial backing of your business. And then as that goes, you want to have a business financial statement as well, so that when you get to the point where your business can stand on its own, you don't have to use your personal financial statement any longer to do those kind of things. That being said, financial statements need to be updated periodically as well. So as you go through personally or as a business, make sure that you have one of those things so you can grab it off the desktop or out of your folder, that you keep all those kind of things that's been updated within the last 6 months so that you have those numbers.
And I think once you become organized, number one, it feels better, right? Because you understand exactly where you are. So it helps you grow, helps your business grow, allows you to think about something other than, all of the different balls that you're juggling in the air, right? But once you put all that together, it should be very easy to pull that up, look at it, say, oh, this is exactly where I am. But it's also easier to project your growth and to project your goals and to look at your cash flow and to look at how things are coming in and really help your business grow, because you're not working from behind. You're not just kind of scrambling, making up as you go along. Now you have an actual focus that you're working for. One other thing to look at is your tax obligations. So whether you're a business owner, whether you're a realtor, whatever, whether you get paid things systematically because you're selling things, or you get paid just a bunch of commission because that's the world that you're in. I think tax obligations are things that sometimes people overlook. I know in the mortgage and financial world, the real estate world, there are often times where we get big commissions, right? Big commissions. And then there's sometimes where we get little commissions. And so you have to manage all of those things. But being 1099, you have to really understand how your business works. And so it is much smarter to take a portion of every paycheck and set it aside in a separate account, right? Or every commission, if you will, set it aside in a separate account for taxes than it is to say, all right, well, I'm going to pay all this stuff now, and then my next big paycheck, I'm going to set it aside for taxes, because that never actually happens. So make sure that you understand your tax obligations based on what you have. If you're selling things, make sure you pay your sales tax, right? Make sure you pay it systematically as you go. Make sure, and you know more about tax stuff than I do, but the quarterly taxes that
Oh yeah.
businesses
So
pay
if
and
if
things
you
like
pay
that.
employees, um, uh, if you have people that you pay via W-2, it's very important that you pay that and it's actually required, depending on the size of your business, to pay in quarterly. You don't want to get to the end of the year and have to pay the business portion and the money that you've withheld from their checks for their portion all at the same time. That can be an absolute financially devastating moment. Also, like Kimberly said, if you are just a sole proprietor and you're not having to have taxes withheld, it's very important you're prepared to pay tax at the end of the year. So that, like I said, we do have a different code or a different way of paying tax, but we still have to pay tax. So you got to be ready to do that. And you see a lot of people and a lot of, realtors, people that make commission that it's sporadic. Like Kimberly said, they get to the end of the year and they're like, holy crap, I made this much money. Where'd it go? How do I pay tax on it? And that's why you see them going out on December, 27th.
It's not just realtors.
Right? No, it's a lot of business owners go out
owners
on December 27th and they go buy a new car so that they can use tax law and depreciate that so they can offset some of that extra income. Financing your tax deductions is not a good way to go. If you don't have the cash to pay for that car, then you're just paying interest on a tax deduction. So that's a whole nother conversation. Be smart about those things and understand.
And you can't do it every year anyway. And if you do, then that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, you got to recapture it. It's a 5-year window, right? So you can do that. You can depreciate a vehicle over 5 years, or you can do it all at once and wait for 5 years before you get to do it again without recapturing that when you sell it or trade it. So
it's not a sustainable plan to pay your taxes. Is my point.
Not at all. But there are a lot of things, not saving for emergencies, buying unnecessary items.
Things, and we'll kind of go through some of the pitfalls now of things that you should look out for and things that you should avoid. But I also want you to hear this. If you aren't a business owner, you're not an entrepreneur, and it's just your personal finances, these are the same rules. They're very similar to personal finance and business finance. It's just good financial habits, right?
Yeah. Relying heavily on credit. If you start a business, credit cards, credit in general, you got to know that your cash flow is going to be positive, or at least that you have a measurable number of months or whatever that's going to be negative. If you can, and you need to invest your own personal capital into your business, loan it to your business at an interest rate and have your business make a payment back to you
Or even at 0%.
Whatever.
But have your business pay it back to
But
you.
don't let that money keep flowing back and forth. Take a lump sum out, loan it to the business on paper, and go from that point forward. So if you do borrow money, understand what the rates are. We've had many clients over the years that are paying on loans for a failed business, but it's in there, they're personally guaranteeing it. And so know that what your projection is down the road. Don't buy unnecessary items. It's really easy when you go into business to justify a lot of expenses. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was, if you think you need this right now in your business, whether it's a larger office, whether it's a new computer, whether it's a hire staff members, whatever it is, you think you need it now, wait 60 days, and then you'll really need it, or you'll know that you didn't need it when you thought you did, right? So don't preemptively spend money until
because you see it coming. Allow yourself to have that bottleneck for a minute and to feel that pain, and make sure that that's actually something that you need to grow your business.
Yeah, and then make a budget and stick to it. It's hard sometimes, like Kimberly said, with fluctuating cash flow, but just know that when the times are good, there are times that it might be lean. So you want to stick with that same mindset about dinners out and things like that, extravagant things that you might not want to do all the time. So I know we could go down this over and over again. Are there any of you guys that have stories from your business past, things that you've learned the hard way that you might want to share with folks, or comments or questions, because we've got just a few more minutes to go.
And as you guys are thinking about what you want to say and what you want to share with us, another tip I think is to look at insurance for your business. Insure your business. Make sure that you're personally protected. Make sure that your business is protected, whether it's E&O insurance for us in the financial planning world, or it's insurance for your contractors, or whatever that is. Make sure that you have insurance to protect you, to protect the people that you're working for, the people you're working with, the people who are working for you. Make sure that all of that is protected. That's one risk that is easy to mitigate. So make sure that you do that. It's a cost of doing business.
Yep. And one of the most overlooked, I can't get off this call without saying that, is if you're an entrepreneur and your family requires that income, and you are a key man, you are a key woman in that business, ensuring that and your ability to earn an income with life insurance is incredibly important. It can be tax deductible to the business, but then it's taxable to the individual. So just ask questions about who pays that premium, if you pay it personally or the business pays it. That's a very important piece to understand. So we deal with a lot of business owners that their business couldn't function without them, which means not only would the business go away, but also the income stream would go away for their family. So very important to know that as a part of the business insurance, that life insurance on your key people is huge. So questions, comments, anything you guys want us just to keep right on going?
I see you.
All right.
I actually don't see you. I just see these little squares. But Virtue, did you have something you wanted to say? I see you're unmuted. No? You just have to keep talking to me.
All right.
All right. So maybe you guys will unmute, and feel free to do so and just jump in.
When we started, what did we do? Co-mingling?
We did everything wrong.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, we did. Yeah, everything we just said to do.
That's why we're telling you.
From the very beginning. So it was it's good to hear from other people's experiences, and there are a lot of them out there. Plenty of things you can find and look up and read on starting small businesses, how to do it right with that footprint.
But the other thing that I would tell you guys is hire someone, even if you can't afford to or don't think it's necessary to hire someone to manage your books on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Hire someone to teach you how to get started. If you don't know QuickBooks and you've never used it, it is not just plug and play, right? You have to have somebody that teaches you to go through that. So you can stumble along and figure it out as you go, or you can just pay somebody, right? Sit there with me for a couple of hours and teach me how to do this.
Yep.
And that'll be the best money that you've ever spent, because you don't have to think about it anymore, right? They teach you, you duplicate it. And now, even if you're managing it yourself, you're doing it properly, which I think is really important. And I think sometimes we don't think about that as business owners. We try to do everything ourselves. There's a great book called The E-Myth, and it's The Entrepreneurial Myth by Michael Gerber. Is that right?
Yeah.
And he talks about that, right? Like you're either an entrepreneur or you're the technician or you're the manager, but it's hard to be all of those things. And typically as business owners, especially new business owners, we try to do all of it, right? And if you're going to do all of it and you're going to try to do all of it because you're trying to cut costs or just you're type A and you want to control everything or whatever, at least hire someone to teach you what you should be doing for a quick minute, because then you're set up to succeed for the rest of your career.
Yeah, and he talks about that from he uses an example, I think, of a bakery and a baker, somebody that loves to bake, and they make the most fabulous cakes, and their family and friends all say, "Oh, you should do this for a living. You could make so much money, and everybody would love to eat your cakes, right?" So that's their love, that's the passion is the actual baking process. And a year into the business, they realize that they're doing so much more outside of just baking, and it's not fun anymore, or they need help in those areas. So find what you are, and pay people to do things better than you would do them, and your business can be more profitable. I think that's the biggest thing. We learned that in the mortgage business with processing all your own files, right? So mortgage
Because
processors
I'm
are,
pretty type A, right? I'm like, no, 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 no. I'll just do this myself. I know it's taken care of. I can tell my clients exactly where they are. I can control the timeline. I can make all this happen. But I also couldn't grow because you can only do so much. And then you're kind of tapped out. So yeah, whew,
yeah.
it's like giving away your babies, right?
It's when it is your business and it is your passion, and you want to see it grow, it's hard to become a manager and delegate. But ultimately, any growth happens in business from delegation, because like we talk about, we have 24 hours in a day. If I have 10 people that work for me, I now have 2,400 hours in a day. 2,424, right?
240 hours.
Yeah, 240. I'd have 1,000 people. Sorry, you don't have to have math in this business, right? Let me deal with your money. But no, in all seriousness, more people means more can be done, and that's why you see businesses growing and things like that. They hire staff. Well, guys, I'm excited to talk to you guys more about business and finance. If you have questions or comments down the road, feel free to reach out to us. If you have something you wanted to ask but you didn't want to do it in the public forum, you can shoot us a text or an email. Our information should be in the chat, I believe. So, but before we sign off, I always want to remind everybody of our 8 tenets at the Daily Huddle. Number 1, love. Be caring, laugh out loud, have fun, release some of that positive energy, stress less, go out and just relax, eat mostly plant-based, take care of your body, right? Make sure you know what's going on inside and out. Give of your time, give of money, give of help, advice, whatever you've got. Sleep, get your rest, and move. Get up out your chair when you get done with this meeting and move around a little bit. And finally, take your pause. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, as the song lyrics say. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you same time, same place tomorrow on the Daily Huddle.
Bye, guys.